Hello ladies and gentlemen, I just feel the need to thank my patrons once more. Alan, Billy, Blizz, Brett, Caleb, Chen, Christoph, David, Edia, Eric, Gary, Joey, the other Joey, Twioch, Matthew, Miguel, Mathaldu, Raymond, Rodrigo, Sack Chief, and Z. If you want to support me, my Patreon link and my PlayAsia affiliate link are in the description. Enjoy the video. Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima, and, well, I don't know why people think I'm going to stop doing Vita videos, just as long as there's interesting games coming out for the damn thing. And this one is an example of that. This is I Am the Hero. Now, this is a Radalaika port, and most people know that their ports can be rather hit or miss, but this one seems to be okay. So, well, we'll go for it. The main reason why I also picked this one, well, I did pick this one up, I got a review code for it, but the main reason I bothered was that this actually has good reviews on Steam. It's like mostly positive with 440 reviews. So, you know, good sign. Pretty good sign, so we'll go and have a look at it, shall we? There's not that much to see out here in the menus. You can change the sound of the music volume, change the language. You can come here to see what characters you've unlocked. Notably, you can only have one extra character selected at a time, and you can swap between two of them. You'll unlock them as you finish levels. You also have EX skills, but they are annoyingly hard to actually pull off in-game, but we'll talk about that later. You can also come here to change what level you want to start at, but we're just going to hit continue from the main menu, and that'll take us through where we need to be. No idea what collections is, since I haven't actually gotten anything in it yet. Heroes Guide is your tutorial. You've got Workshop Fight and Challenge Fight. I don't know what the difference is between these two. I think Workshop is like endless waves, and Challenge Fight is, well, it feels like kind of the same thing, but just a little bit more difficult. So we're just going to hit continue. This should put me at, yep, level 5-1. That works for me. Alright, good. We're straight into it. No cutscene. Never mind. Had to open my mouth. Alright, so straight into it, sure, I can appreciate that. So, this game is indeed a beat-em-up. It does also have a couple of weird things going about it, like, for example, that absolutely fantastic sort of text they had going for them there. You see, the problem with this game is that its English localization is horrific at the best of times, so it really doesn't work very well. It's not spelled right. It's not. It definitely reads like someone who didn't grow up with English as their main language. I mean, hell, I've wrote worse stuff than that, but at the same time, I was born in an English-speaking country, so yeah. Back up. So the controls themselves are, whoops. The controls are very simple. You got square and circle, which are your punch and your kick buttons, respectively. You do also have a triangle button, which will let you charge a long-range attack. It'll send them all over the place, which is nice, because you do generally want to keep these guys in the corner, or just generally out of the way as much as humanly possible. Using the D-pad will actually change what attacks that you are doing. So if you press up and square, for example, it'll do a different attack in comparison to down and square, and yada yada yada. You get the general idea. There's nothing in the way of like combos in this game, in the general sense, right? Also, I hate these damn robots because they are almost impossible to hit with more than like one attack at a time. You can do combos in this game, but they're just relatively simple ones. Like, you knock the enemy in the air, then you follow it up with, like, another kick or something by going straight into the air. That guy just... Well, he just self-destructed, and I just got blown the hell up, which is a thing. Hate these robots. You do have the ability to jump and double jump, and you have the ability to dodge, but it doesn't help you out as much as you might think. It does, like, it's not a horrible dodge, and it does help in some situations, but not every situation you could possibly hope for. You fight all sorts of different kinds of enemies in this game, but most of them are relatively similar. Most have a short range and a long range attack. You just gotta try and get in on the... You just gotta try and get in when they're not throwing out an attack, because some of the enemies in this game are actually pretty dickish and are able to go straight through what you would think would normally be, whatchamacallit. You'd be able to go straight through what you would normally call, like, some sort of invincibility frame or whatever. You do have a combo counter in this game. However, like, it's actually a pretty reasonable combo meter. The way it works is, if you get hit, that starts the countdown to when you lose your combo. You don't immediately lose your combo, it just slowly starts counting down. Which is actually pretty cool. Like, you get like 3 seconds. So unless you've been knocked flat on your ass by a random attack from any particular enemy, chances are you'll be able to keep your combo going. Like you saw there that I got knocked flat on my ass, and that was enough to knock the combo out of me, which was unfortunate. But oh well. Still works pretty well in the grand scheme of things. So, as you can see, I've just swapped it to another character here. The other characters are okay for the most part. As I said, I've only gotten 3 of them because you can only unlock them, say, at the end of a stage. And once you have them, you have to swap to them, and again, you can only use 1 at a time. So you might as well figure out... No voice acting, by the way. But yeah. You only unlock them 1 at a time. You don't really know what they're like until you used them. And it's kind of annoying because they can actually have different abilities and just like different sets of the attack of the move pool. That's what I'm trying to say. Sometimes you'll find one that's missing an attack you really like using, and sometimes you'll find one that's got every attack you need except for one that you don't actually use, which is a nice benefit. All characters also have the weird ability, if you press square just as an enemy's attacking you, you'll do a counter for massive damage. And that appears to be the major way to do damage in anything that's higher than the normal sets of difficulties. These characters also have their own EX moves. All the default characters and even your regular guy that you play to start off with, all of them have the default EX move as right down square. But it can be surprisingly hard to pull off. For some reason, some of the EX moves just don't acknowledge the input properly. I'm not really sure why, but it happens. Bloody environmental hazards. But yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and I'm not entirely sure what the difference is between the two. It's a little bizarre. You do also have the ability to hit the L button and rage out, as long as you've got 1 full bar of energy up in the top right there. And once you do that, your meter will start counting down, and once it has completely counted down, you will lose it, but you do a lot more damage, you take a lot less damage, and you basically just run right through dudes. Yeah, remember what I said before about the game not really being fantastic about the English localization? Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not an English dev. I will say that much. There doesn't appear to be a plot, except that you're a time-traveling hero who goes back and forth in attempts to do the right thing, save the world and what have you, you know? Nothing particularly cool or important or anything like that, just, you know, just beating the crap out of dudes, which I won't argue too heavily against the concept. It's just, yeah. If you want a story, not the place to look for it. But I will give the game a lot of credit. The actual beat-em-up stuff is actually really good. Like, it's not like Streets of Rage good, but attacks hit satisfyingly. You have a fair amount of moves to work with, not a big amount, but you have enough to make it at least enjoyable to play. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy the base beat-em-up gameplay while I was playing this. Because it is legit pretty decent feeling. There's not enough telegraphing for my personal tastes. Sometimes the enemies just have this annoying tendency to throw attacks at you from out of nowhere. This only happens with certain attacks. And when you've got a bunch of enemies all together like this, sometimes they can all start throwing out attacks and make it impossible to really approach, which is why you want to charge up attacks like this as much as humanly possible. But yeah, you get the general idea. The actual beat-em-up stuff is pretty satisfying overall. Not amazing, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy it. It's got a fair amount to it, while also not being massively complex. It does a lot better than Square Boy vs. Bullies in that regard. There are some things that I don't like about it. For example, you just saw right there that the game's performance isn't exactly fantastic. It does slow down from time to time. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it happens. That's not what I was expecting. Wait, what? I can still be attacked in the cutscene? Okay, that's a bit bizarre. Not what I was hoping for, game. Did I just crash? Yeah, I think it just crashed. Like, that is some hard crashing. Good lord, I've never seen that before. Huh, great. Fun. Back out. We'll go start at level 4-1 or something. That was bizarre. I haven't actually seen that before. Which is annoying in many different ways. But yeah, performance, not great, and apparently it has this annoying tendency to soft lock. Who would have thought? It's a rather like a game, though. I can't say I'm surprised. Their ports are never particularly up to snuff. At least Vita-wise, it'll probably work fine on all the other platforms that it's on. Alright, let's go pick level 4-1, I suppose. It even saves some of the checkpoints, I guess. Yeah, level, standard. There's the level select. Yeah, it even saved my progress up to the lab room, but no, let's go play the depot. I'll give them credit for having really up-to-date, like, saving systems. That's pretty cool, all things considered, you know. It is a rather like a game, so you would hope they would have that for pretty much every game, but yeah. Anyway, back to what I was saying. The game itself, the beat-em-up gameplay and just the general feel of it, it's all pretty good. It's not amazing, but it's definitely passable and actually pretty enjoyable. Not amazing, but good. Generally good. I like the way they've done the graphics as well. I mean, it looks a little bit weird and it can cause a problem here or there with just some weird, like... Oh great, I have to deal with these things again. I remember this part. Worst part is you can't even use bloody special attacks on them because they're up in the air and you have to do your special attacks on the ground. Well, at least it lets you build up some combo. Yep, have to do it again because it wouldn't be a beat 'em up game if they didn't give you endless rooms of annoying dudes to beat for no particular reason. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I also appreciate the gigantic 100 combo thing coming down and actually giving you a free damage boost. It's always nice when that happens. And now it'll actually let me go and fight some proper dudes. There we go. One thing that the game does not get right, though, is the audio. And by the audio, I mean all of it. Everything you hear in this game is terrible. The music is generic 8-bit fluff that doesn't fit the theme or just the general action at all. The sound effects are all bad, really bad, and it doesn't sound very good as a game at all. It is just honestly quite horrendous sound design, and whoever made it should probably never get a job in the industry again or really buck up on their audio design because goddamn, it is legit one of the worst soundscapes I've heard in a game in a long time. And that's honestly saying something, but I mean, it is legit like one of the worst soundtrack and sound effects combos that I've heard in a while. It can get rough. And one can argue that it's a little bit too repetitive. I mean, as I said before, all the enemies are actually really similar to each other. The only place the game really starts to diversify the enemies that you fight is in the bosses. And the bosses themselves are actually pretty neat. Like you've seen two examples of them already. The big pink zombie dude, not the little ones. And the the butcher guy. Both of those guys were pretty standard examples of bosses. Those are the only places the game's combat really diversifies, and even then they do tend to follow the same formula. Most of them will have some kind of yeah, of course they went for that kind of joke. Yeah, but Christ, what was I saying? Yeah, it doesn't do much in the way of diversifying the gameplay. Which, you know, beat 'em up, hard to do, I understand, but it's just worth bringing up. If you're hoping for this game to make beat 'em ups not seem as repetitive as they actually are, you're probably not going to get it out of this one. I am sorry to say. At least it's got a fair amount of content though. 3 difficulty modes, 2 endless modes, and you actually have to beat the endless modes at least somewhat in order to unlock like a few of the other characters. But still. Let's just go and skip to one last boss fight, because I've pretty much said everything I need to say and we're hitting the 20-minute mark, and well, yeah. When you start running out of stuff to say, you start getting annoying. Then again, this is me we're talking about, I'm annoying all the damn time. I'll show you another boss. Alright, I have to actually play through the level. You know what, bugger it. You've seen 2 bosses, let's just cut the video here, not waste any more time. So, that was a quick look at I Am the Hero. The sound is dreadful, the port isn't that solid, and it can be pretty repetitive, but it's still a pretty decent beat 'em up. The moves feel pretty good. You've got enough of them to have it not feel too stale, at least by beat-em-up standards. And there's a fair amount of content to go through to keep you busy. It's not something I'd outright recommend, but if you see it for cheap and you feel like you want another beat-em-up style game, it's probably not something I'd go against recommending under those circumstances. So there you go. This has been Blue Maxima, and I will see you all next time.